The world of Power Rangers revolves around regular humans using unique remote-like devices to turn into colorful superheroes. This transformation leads to them getting stronger, gaining access to huge mech robots, and engaging in fights where they stand tall in the face of evil and the threats to the galaxy. Across several years, we have been exposed to different types of Power Rangers, such as the mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Ninja Storm, Mystic Force, Dino Thunder, Jungle Fury, SPD, you name it. We also have been introduced to future Rangers such as the Omega or the Nova Ranger, and a half-human, half-dog hybrid who runs the show and boasts a killer name like Shadow Ranger. However, throughout it all, the interpretations of the Rangers with respect to power have been consistent instead of them being a hotspot of superheroes with several different abilities. But there's a reason behind that, because all Rangers draw their powers from the same source. They continue to be consistent no matter how many interpretations they have. This mysterious source, known as the Morphin Grid, is the MVP of today's video because we're going to explain how this cosmic multi-dimensional energy actually works. Before getting into the content, we would like to make a very small request to our viewers. Please subscribe to our channel, like and comment on our videos, and press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content. We would be grateful to you, and we hope to bring you the best nerdy content. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
The Morphin Masters. Using the grid, they created mystical artifacts.
What is Morphin Grid, and how does it work? Fantasy fiction works that are centered around superheroes and action sequences are, with reference to day-to-day life, quite unrealistic. However, within the context of the show, creators build a world where such unnatural actions make sense from a realistic point of view, bringing us to the concept of world building. Now, there exists soft world building and hard world building. Disney movies, Ghibli films, and fantasy fictions that are mostly evolve around lands of magic or fairy tales focus on soft world building. This is a world where things do not need to make much sense. One does not need to explain why the flying carpet in Aladdin can fly or the mechanisms of the magic used by Cinderella's fairy godmother. On the flip side, we have hard world building, seen in stories like J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, DC, Marvel, and action anime, where we have an existing power system. Supernatural powers and the subsequent power scaling of characters need to make sense within the context of their fictional works, bringing us to the existence of a power system that allows for such things to prosper. For example, the technology in Marvel is leaps and bounds ahead of anything present in real life. However, there is often an explanation for how things work. Captain America's shield is so strong because it's made of vibranium, which is the strongest metal in the world. Iron Man's suit can perform the feats it does because technology of such level exists in the Marvel universe, and Tony Stark is more often than not seen explaining the mechanisms of his suits with respect to Marvel physics. This brings us to the Power Rangers, who are a group of individuals made to become the protectors of the Earth. They acquire mystical and technological power from a unique system and morph into their Ranger avatars to fight against threats. This system that helps them get their powers is the Morphin Grid. It is the source of their abilities. However, the Morphin Grid blurs the lines between hard and soft world building, as it is something akin to the Speed Force from The Flash or the Force from Star Wars. The Morphin Grid is a multiversal but neutral energy field that extends across space and time. It's neither good nor evil, and in fact maintains the balance between the two. As per the Mighty Morphin era, these two energies are represented by Lord Zed for the evil and Zordon for the good. Mentioned for the first time in the 4th episode of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the Morphin Grid is a link between the Power Rangers and their powers. It's the reason behind the Power Ranger suit shooting sparks when receiving damage instead of having a depiction of blood oozing out of the particular Ranger who is getting attacked. Each Ranger uses their morphers or Ranger operators to transform into a Power Ranger. The morpher, which was created by genius scientist Dr. K, draws power from the Morphin Grid as it gives the Rangers access to their powers by altering their cellular structures. The Power Ranger form possesses enhanced physical attributes such as greater strength, reflexes, agility, and endurance. During intense battle movements, the Rangers are shown combining their individual Ranger vehicles to form large robots referred to as Megazords. These attacking vehicles draw power from the Morphin Grid to function and are controlled by the Rangers from the Zord's control panel. The grid also bestows the weapons of the Rangers on them. However, due to the neutral nature of the Morphin grid, it has been responsible for powering antagonists like Lord Zed and Rita Repulsa as well. In fact, other antagonists have often disrupted the grid to inconvenience the Power Rangers. Lord Dracon's Black Dragon cannons were specifically designed for this purpose. Malevolent entities can also collect the grid's data by tapping into its powers and turning into evil Rangers, giving themselves control over the Megazords. They have also used this ability to create monsters and weapons and cut the Power Rangers' access to the grid. The grid can connect the past, present, and the future Power Rangers with one another. This allows them to acquire the experiences and the knowledge of their predecessors and help in crossover episodes, which we have seen across the Power Rangers franchise, such as the team up between the Rangers from Space Patrol Delta or SPD and Dino Thunder. However, the grid allows only one Ranger of a certain power type to exist at once, with each Power Ranger representing a color and possessing its representative powers. Two or more Rangers of the same color or power type cannot coexist during the same time period in the same space. Power Rangers Dino Thunder depicts this when the White Ranger Trent has to coexist with his clone, which ultimately creates an imbalance in the Morphin grid. Staying true to its name that clearly states how this biofield is a grid, the Morphin grid has somewhat of a physical form in the sense that the intangible power stems from an abstract energy field. However, this can differ from season to season, as certain seasons have introduced unique visual concepts for the grid, while others have strayed away from doing so. It also acts as something akin to the cloud in the phone that stores data, except the Morphin grid stores the information of every Power Ranger, thus ensuring that their powers can never be destroyed. In cases where a Ranger does lose their powers, it is them losing their connection to this grid, which means that they can reconnect to the Morphin grid and get their powers back. While the grid appears as something akin to a room with electricity surging inside it in certain interpretations, in Dino Thunder, the link to the grid is discovered as a boulder with a green gem embedded into it. One of the scenes also depict Ethan and Kira acquiring visions from the next Power Rangers, that is, the ones from the SPD. Tommy Oliver had found the grid's physical form and subsequently used it to create the Ranger archives, as he used the information of every other Power Ranger that came before. However, with Ethan and Kira receiving visions from future Rangers, it also became evident that the grid not only helps Rangers access the information of the past Rangers, but they can also help tap into the data of the future Rangers. Meanwhile, the experiments conducted by Kat Manx from SPD in her attempt to use the grid's power to create morphers resulted in a side effect that altered the genes to humans. These humans then went on to give birth to kids with superhuman abilities, which is why Z, or Yellow Ranger from Space Patrol Delta, could make several clones, or rather copies of herself. With the imprint left by each Ranger drawing power from the grid, they all remain connected to one another across space, time, and dimensions. Interestingly enough, the Morphin grid, despite being able to work across dimensions, cannot function at the North Pole due to the Earth's magnetic field as well as holiday magic. How powerful is the Morphin grid? Due to the vague nature of the Morphin grid, its powers are not as well defined or quantified as that of the ones it powers. It is essentially a cosmic field of abundant energy, but its raw energy is powerful enough to kill a Ranger, which is why they needed a Morpher to transform into a Power Ranger. In fact, it can turn a highly powerful meteor into a power coin. The reason why the energy of the Morphin grid is so intense is because it is the source of all life across the universe. The limits of the Morphin grid are also left open to interpretation to work around them across several seasons of Power Rangers. In the battle between the Morphin Masters and Dark Spectre, the very energy of the Morphin grid allows them to succeed in their battle. However, this energy also became the reason behind them getting battered, because the heroes needed to be continuously exposed to this overly concentrated power. In another instance, the Morphonaut's time in the grid almost resulted in him being torn apart on a molecular level. The Morphin grid is used as a versatile plot device. It gets its occasional but vague explanations, which simultaneously explain how the grid works while refraining from giving it a solidified definition. This not only keeps things interesting and mysterious, but it also gives writers the freedom to make the grid do whatever they want with respect to what the story calls for. With that, today's video comes to an end. What did you think of the Morphin grid? Did you enjoy this video? If yes, then don't forget to like and comment on this video. Till then, goodbye and have a nice one.
Go, go, Power